Yo,
What up, man?
what's happening? What's going on with everybody?
How's everybody doing?
To Religiously Incorrect.
The first
podcast.
Sunday of 2022.
I'm spilling water. What a start
of 2022. How y'all doing?
Welcome. Come on in, saints, friends, saints and ain'ts. Everybody,
hey, share,
tag
somebody who needs to see this.
Cuss. Happy New Year to everybody.
And don't tell me y'all sleepy. Y'all was out till 3 o'clock in the morning last night.
We saw y'all
shooting off them guns.
Exactly, man. I mean, and it was wild. I felt bad for the saints trying to leave church, because we had the late night, service because we're old school like that. And all you heard was just pop everywhere, man. Just everywhere.
I mean, they started like at 8 o'clock. I'm like, dude, they started at 8 o'clock.
And it was cats out there with AK-47. I don't know if it was the Taliban.
I said they had their crossover service too.
Exactly. They crossed over. Hey, somebody's about to cross over. You keep on shooting like that. It's about to cross over. Hey, I saw a post. My girl Leah put up a post that said, y'all was out there mingling and jingling. Now your throats are tingling. Y'all, hey, how was watch night? Y'all did a crossover service.
We did a crossover service. It was wonderful. We had a great time, man. Just trying to keep the people out of harm's way. But I do understand the old school way. But it was good for us, and we got it done, got it over, and I went home and relaxed with the wifey. You know what I mean? It was our anniversary. So,
well, the benefit of being old school. We don't want to hear about your anniversary, Jeff, because we know where this is going.
I didn't say that.
Hey, last time y'all had an anniversary.
3 months later.
3 months later.
Here come the baby.
Right. So here's the benefit of being old school. We were one of the few churches actually online late at night.
Right.
So there was no Sunday morning, everybody's just skipping through and watching everybody. So I'm going to stick with it because since most people have jumped to 8, 9, and 6, 10:30 is the prime time slot for Second Baptist, so we're gonna stick with it for the time being, But it was a blessed time. We did. I think
next year I'm gonna do mine at 1 o'clock.
Afterward.
Just start after.
It's like watching the ball drop the second time. You know what I mean? But it was good, man. It's a New Year's 2022. We hope it's a little better than 2021.
Absolutely.
In other news, Jeff, we are geared up for tomorrow night's Grand Ben finale.
Well, it might not just be a Ben finale. If we lose, it might be a Mayfield finale too.
Well, it might be a Baker.
Both quarterbacks might be
Baker finale. Done. Well, you guys have been eliminated.
Well, not.
No, you're eliminated. You're eliminated.
How?
The Broncos beat the Chargers.
Did they?
You're officially out. So, but you know what? That makes it worse because now the Browns is gonna come in angry, and all their pride is gonna be pointed towards.
See, but that's what I didn't, because for years we've had that stigma of as long as we beat Pittsburgh.
As long as we beat Pittsburgh.
I hate that. No, forget that. Pittsburgh. We out the playoffs. I don't care if we win or lose.
Well, how about y'all try to lose then? Okay, because I do have a request. Somebody tag Myles Garrett. I have a request. Listen. Let Ben retire in peace.
Absolutely not.
Let him retire with all his legs.
Absolutely not.
This cat.
Send RoboCop to his.
Ben is like the bionic man at this point. He wears 3 sets of shoulder pads. And Myles Garrett, I mean, I have great respect for his game. TJ Watt, hopefully, he has a great game too. But don't go too hard on him. Don't go too hard.
I just want to see Chubb do what he do.
Chubb. You know what? If Chubb should be in Pittsburgh, that's all I gotta say.
No. I don't know, but anyway.
So we don't have video evidence of this, but I'm sure everybody already saw it. Let's start with the first one. What would you do if somebody walked in your church and just stole on your deacon?
Well, I'm from Youngstown, so it's about to be a scrap up in that.
President Harrison knows something about that. Let me see the comments, Mike. President Harrison knows something about that. We all saw the video. The pastor did explain later that the young man was troubled, and he had some problems he was going through. I guess just got out of an intervention or whatever. But here's what I give credence to. If anybody didn't see the video, Church Fight, we're not going to play it because it's already been played 1,000 times. I was proud of that deacon because he was ready.
Oh,
I mean, he didn't flinch. He jumped right up and took care of business. Now the pastor, which I feel he's my role model, he stayed in that pulpit. He stayed in the pulpit. Marcus.
That's Marcus.
Marcus.
Stop now, Marcus.
All right now, Marcus.
That would not be my testimony.
No, that would be me.
That would not be my testimony.
That would be me. That would be me.
Obviously, the guy had issues, and we would have to see. We try to stop that. Hey, I got somebody like that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Who got a few issues. So you got to be careful. Yeah.
Here's the thing when people commented on it, and as usual, people who don't really go to church or probably want to find some kind of, negative scandal behind it. Even when the pastor explained that the young man had a problem and that he had an issue, people still like, yo, nah, something must have happened. He must have been messing with his wife, or he must have did something. He must have done that. Maybe people really are just troubled. And it doesn't have to be some scandal or, because I know people would just love to hear that somebody did something to them.
Especially in a church. We love to have rumors and, instigate, church.
Something else is behind what happened.
People have issues.
They have issues.
Happens all over the world.
And speaking of people with issues, Antonio Brown. Speaking of people with issues, this is not a sports episode, but pray for our brother AB. Pray for brother AB.
Everywhere he goes.
Everywhere he goes.
It's just like
he walked off the field today, removed his clothes,
danced
across the field, danced in the end zone. There's stories out there that as one friend put it, they were messing with his money because they claimed that he wasn't being put in, or I guess getting the ball thrown his way he wanted. Now Bruce Arians just came out before we went live with a comment that he did try to put AB in the game several times, and he refused. And he told him, "You're done then." And I guess that's when this true. But who knows the real?
Bernie Mac would have said, "If you're messing with my money, it's gonna be trouble." That's
it. But I mean, AB, everywhere he goes, man, there's been problems, and I mean, he already was faking vaccinations and stuff anyway.
Right.
So the Steelers will take him. I mean, we don't have Juju, so we'll take him because you know what he does? He does good for like 3 games. We'll take him for the rest of this season. And just let it be what it's gonna be. But no, I mean, wish the best to him. Young man is, stealing on deacons in the church, and anybody who dares to do it in one of these churches like Pastor Jeff, where he's really about it, he comes from the and you just tear somebody up. But what we really came to do is share the meme of the week.
Well, before we do the meme of the week, we got to give a shout out to Mom Betty.
Yeah.
Thank you for being a friend. Whoa.
That is not how it goes. Somebody
travel down the road and back again. Say we're starting from the bottom, but we're here now.
See what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about.
This is what I'm talking about. Ooh.
I need an intervention.
If you could tell anybody.
Cut the mic. Cut the mic. Ma Betty, Mother Betty, Ma Betty White. It feels like a church mother died.
Yeah.
I mean, she really was our friend. And
the golden girl.
She was the golden girl, but she was past golden. She was like platinum, going on rust. She went from platinum to going on rust, where the mothballs and the moths and the cankerworm have eaten. But she was like one of them people you thought could never die.
She was just cool. I mean, just all the way cool, hilarious, hilarious.
Yeah, always in skits and shows and all of those things. And I did see some church jokes that went too far. I saw one where they put her in like a church mother's habit, like the white and with the hat, and
I wonder if because us, we will make a picture with Snoop, Tupac.
Oh, so she's in heaven. Who is she in heaven with? They're probably putting a picture of all the black people like Marvin Gaye, Luther Vandross.
She got the pass. She got the picnic
Phyllis
pass.
Hyman and Betty White.
She got the picnic pass.
She's been invited to the cookout. She probably brings green bean casserole or something, but she's been invited to the cookout.
And she's from Ohio.
She is from Ohio.
She's from Ohio.
Yeah,
yes,
so
yes.
she's probably racist and we didn't know it. No, I'm joking. Actually, they had good stories about her being very friendly to African-American actors and all. So rest in peace, Betty White. And in your honor, here's the meme of the week. And our
Meme of the week. Meme of the week.
welcome to Religiously Incorrect, ladies and gentlemen.
Meme of the week. Meme of the week.
We thank you. Send us your memes of the week.
Meme of the week. Meme of the week.
We are. These are all jokes. We are just playing.
That's our new intro.
That's our intro.
That's our meme of the week intro. Here it is. Moses when he came down from the mountain. Now, Pastor Jeff, you know why it's funny to us? Because we grew up on the 10 Commandments.
Mm-hmm.
The kids won't get it.
The kids won't get it. They have no clue. Yeah, but they do. They know what that means.
Here's another thing the kids won't get. And he looks kind of like Yul Brynner, the dude that played Pharaoh.
Oh yeah, he does. He does.
The guy in the meme looks like, now you know I was raised around grandparents. He looks a little bit like Yul Brynner.
At first I was like, who?
Yeah, oh, I'm old, man. So the meme of the week is Moses when he came down from the mountain. And my favorite line of the movie, my God gives you a calf of gold. It's my favorite line in the movie. Yeah, it's the hands on the hips for me, right?
You know. Can we just
go ahead, man?
You know, an old school Baptist black preacher will say, "Them Negroes,
them Negroes."
What is them Negroes doing?
They done took all the jewelry. they done took all the gold, all the chains, all the ice, and they dedicated. He's like a mama that come home and realize that nobody put the meat out from the freezer.
Mm-hmm. Nobody washed the dishes.
Nobody washed the dishes. Yeah. That's that look right there. That's disappointment.
Absolutely.
Frustration. And you can tell he just threw some tablets down and put his hands on his hips like that. And that's when we found out that we're homosexuals in the Bible.
I'm glad.
He probably threw him down all girly. Take him then.
And that's when the fight broke out.
That's when the fight broke out. That's when the fight go out.
Tatum sit down, drink
man.
all the Kool-Aid.
Drink all the Kool-Aid. Yeah, that's hilarious. All right, if you have a meme of the week, make sure you send it to us. religiouslyincorrectpodcast@gmail.com. Anything religion or church related. If it's funny, we'll talk about it. Let's hit our sponsors right quick. We want to thank greatest sponsors in the world. Phillips Care Cleaning Service, residential and commercial cleaning are their specialty. They do everything from floor cleaning to deep cleaning, move in, move out, upholstery. They even just do maintenance, in homes, installations, repairs, anything you can think of with surrounding houses or properties, in or outdoors. And speaking of outdoors, Phillips Care Lawn Care Services. I know it's cold, but global warming, well, it'll probably be 70 degrees in a week or so. So they'll take care of your lawn. They do plowing, leaf removal. You might as well go ahead and book them now for the spring. Get your spring cleaning done, edging, trimming, and all of that. We thank the Phillips Care family of businesses for being sponsors. If we encourage you to patronize them, look them up on Facebook, Phillips Care LLC, or contact Fernando at 330-219-7916 and tell him Pastor Todd and Pastor Jeff sent you, and he will not give you a discount.
Absolutely not.
You will not get a discount
at all.
But he'll say, I know them. They never paid. They never pay me. All right, y'all. Today's subject, today's title, today's show is called Christ versus Culture. Now, it was going to be a rap battle between me and Pastor Jeff. I was going to be Christ, and he was going to be culture. But instead, what we're going to do is talk about, particularly in the African-American context, how our cultural awareness, our historical awareness, our honoring of our ancestors. Kwanzaa just came to its conclusion Saturday night. It's a 7-day.
Yes.
So Saturday night, the annual Kwanzaa celebration, it had its conclusion. I'm honest, I don't know a whole lot. We brought somebody on who actually knows what they're talking about, because this has not been a part of my life really. But we've gained in recent years so much more.
Absolutely.
Awareness and knowledge of who we are, our history, but it started to cross over into the church.
Yes.
And how much does culture impact us and affect us, and how much should it? How much should we involve our culture? And some people would say not at all.
Right.
But we want to talk about it. If you know somebody, especially our pro-Black brothers and sisters, our
Yes,
conscious, woke brothers and sisters. Tag somebody, share this
Tag
video.
Leah.
We're talking, yes, tag everybody in this. This is Christ versus culture. Share, like, leave your comments. We want to hear. But first, let's just talk about Kwanzaa. You know, Pastor Jeff, does your church celebrate Kwanzaa? And have you ever been a part of a church that celebrated Kwanzaa? And as soon as we give this little answer, we're going to bring our guest in and talk about it.
Now, my church currently does not. We have not. We have talked about it. We have discussed it, and we're discussing it for next year. The previous church that I was at, we hosted the second day every year of Kwanzaa, and it was a phenomenal event. It was very cultural, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit more after we bring on our guests to actually talk about it and talk to you. If you don't know what Kwanzaa is, I think it's worth listening to, and I think you'll get a lot of insight from our guest. Our guest today is none other than my cousin. She is a phenomenal woman. She does a lot in the community, a lot with her sorority, as well as with her church, as well as with Kwanzaa. So without further ado, I want to bring to the audience and bring to you all today my cousin, Sister Crystal Davis.
Crystal Davis, give it up for Crystal. Good evening, Crystal. How are you?
Good evening. I'm good. How are you?
Oh,
Awesome,
we're wonderful.
Awesome.
We're wonderful.
Awesome. Now, just I have to brush up on a little bit, but Kwanzaa is a Swahili term, right?
Yes.
Which means first fruits, or is that correct? And that's probably the reason church folk don't like, because it's too close to time.
It's too close to time.
Too close to time.
Right. Yeah, I don't want to hear about no first fruits unless you're giving it to the Lord.
It's actually
your first
patterned
fruits.
after the African harvest celebration. So it's a celebration of the harvest. So the first fruits is, the fruits of the harvest and the labor. So
okay.
So they don't harvest in Africa until December?
What was that?
So they don't harvest in Africa until around December? Is that like their calendar schedule?
It's an American celebration, but it was patterned after the African harvest celebration.
Okay.
So,
okay.
and it just tends to be at the end of the year, because it's a time to kind of reflect on the year and what you've accomplished, and looking forward to, making plans for what you intend to do coming up. So.
Okay. So can you just go down all the I can't think of the name
Principles.
of the principles.
tenets.
Yes.
Okay, it's a 7-day celebration. So it's December 26th to January 1st. 7 days, and each day is a principle. So the first principle is umoja, which means unity. And that just deals with, it's kind of self-explanatory, but it's unity within the family, the community, the home, and the race. And then it is, kujichagulia, self-determination. So that is defining for ourselves and naming ourselves and doing for ourselves instead of being named, defined, and spoken for by others. Ujima, collective work and responsibility. So it is saying that our brother's problems should be our problems. We need to work as a unit to solve problems together. Let me think. Ujama, operative economics, is the next step. So it encourages creating Black businesses and supporting Black businesses. So having our own instead of having to go to others to get our stuff. Kaumba, I'm trying to think if I'm right, if I'm going to work. Okay, Kaumba, creativity. Wait, I left something. Wait a minute. Umoja, Kujichagulia, Ujima, Ujama. Operative economics. Nia, purpose. Kaumba, creativity. And then Imani faith.
Imani faith.
Amen.
Yeah.
Now, Pastor Todd, all those principles, I can literally find biblical examples for.
Well, they are. They're universal principles that any community, any group of people who have a mutual concern for each other, and that does include the church or the kingdom people, believers. I think, our church does not celebrate Kwanzaa. I was not raised in a church that celebrated Kwanzaa. But I think that as African-American churches especially, there is much to be gained. I think people feel like it is, first of all, being at Christmas time, a replacement or some type of alternative that will draw people away from the Christian base. And I honestly think people are just scared of words that are African, scared of other languages, and just feel like they're going too deep. Maybe it sounds like too much like tongues to them. It sounds like you speak in other tongues. You say that. I mean, you know, and hey, if you say it fast enough, you can join a Pentecostal church and you're good, you know. But in all seriousness, even if I presented, I'm sure there would be people who have misgivings. Some people, it just might be simply why. It's an extra thing. Why can't we just promote these principles just in general without applying to a holiday? It may be even the ritual, candle lighting and those things. It just feels too religious to people. And I think that's a part of the pushback. It feels, I'm not saying it is. We all know it's not meant to be a religious thing. It's not meant to be its own religion or any type. It's a secular, you know, community-based celebration. Right. But I just think the symbolism and the words scream to the church mind that this just sounds like some other belief system. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Now, Crystal, every year it starts off, the jump off of Kwanzaa is at New Bethel. Has been for years. And obviously
since we've been celebrating Kwanzaa in Youngstown longer than I've been living.
Wow.
And from the very first time that we celebrated Kwanzaa, New Bethel Baptist Church opened his doors to us. So
and let's give
it's been around since 1966. I was born in 1970. I've been celebrating this since 1970, but we have been celebrating it here pretty much the whole time. Wow. And New Bethel Baptist Church has always opened its doors to us from day one. When others were skeptical and was like, what is that? And what are y'all doing? New Bethel always opened their doors to us. So that's why we're still there.
And once again, we give a big shout out to Pastor Simon. And
starting with Dad, Lonnie Simon.
Yeah, definitely.
Lonnie Simon, New Bethel, and Penny Simon.
Simon is who started it. Yes.
You know what is absolutely boss that I want to do? They not only have the Christian flag, but they have the Pan-African flag up in their church. And you know, I might just throw one up in my church to see what happens.
I think it's important that we celebrate and recognize our culture. And Kwanzaa is not a substitution for Christmas. It is not something that you do in lieu of Christmas. We still celebrate Christmas. We celebrate Christmas as the birth of Christ, as it should be. You know, over the years, I've kind of taken the commercial aspect out of Christmas, and I celebrate it as the birth of Christ, and that's just my choice. So I still celebrate Christmas, but Kwanzaa, it's a whole different. The 7 principles are things that you shouldn't just reflect on at the end of the year. They're pretty much principles that we should embody throughout the year and throughout our lives, just as a practice of how we should do. So just to be able to reiterate those things toward the end of the year as we make resolutions and things like that, I think is a good thing. And it's not something that churches should shy away from. It's not a substitution to our religion. It's not a religious thing at all.
So are there other pushbacks or arguments that people have made that you're aware of over the years that you've had to kind of answer or bring clarification to? So it's not a religion or religious, that's one pushback that people give. Is there anything else, like, do people believe it's supposed to be attached again because of the language and the African background? It's attached to African spirits or African, you know, do you get any pushback or any other things?
No, I've never heard any of that stuff. People just tend to think that it's a Black Christmas. And it's people who don't understand. Like in recent years, Kwanzaa is getting more attention. So it's becoming more commercial and more mainstream. But like I said, it's been around forever.
Now, you know, my family is very strong in this. My family has always been heads up and doing these things. Now, you know, obviously, I don't think I really got to know my family until I was literally in the 9th grade.
Wow.
That's when I really, you know, began. And I wish I'd have been around as a kid to know, because the first time I went, I think the biggest reservation I had was not the actual principles, but the libations. It kind of like scared me a little bit. Not that it scared me, but it's just like, okay, what we doing here?
So describe that. What is that?
So describe to us what libations is, what it means, so that people can know once they get to see what it is.
Okay, libations is it's a ceremony that is a part of the rituals of Kwanzaa, where we remember our ancestors and remember those who have gone on before us. So it's a way of paying tribute to those who have gone on before us. So during that time, we will, everyone stands and we sprinkle water from the unity cup, because the water is kind of a symbolization of bringing that life back, renewing life. And we call out the names of those either close to us or national figures or whoever you feel we need to remember. Just bringing the ancestors back in the room. That's all it is.
Now my sanctified antennas went up when you said bring the ancestors back. So
not bringing them back.
Yeah, I feel it. I'm just asking for clarification for the audience. So
not bringing them back.
Not bringing them back.
Ancestors. Remember where we came from. Remember who paved the road to get us to where we are now.
Right.
Remembering those who we loved, our loved ones, our friends, our family who have died, but who were there. Just remembering them.
And I mean, it's it's nothing. I mean, obviously, it's not the same thing, but it's the song came out. This is for my homies.
It ain't no
different. Not I sip my 40 to my homies.
Exactly. They pour a little bit out for the homie.
Right.
So you pour a little bit out for Pookie and them.
Exactly.
I get it.
It's the same concept. It's the same concept.
So Crystal, tell us, how can a family, a community group, perhaps even a church or group of churches, if they haven't ever, if it's foreign territory to them, how would they get started? Some people might be intimidated. Should they join up or find somebody who's already doing it? Are there materials they can buy or a guide? I mean, what can they do?
I mean, there's material all over the place. Locally, I don't even want to put my family out there, but we're a really good resource. We celebrate publicly, and then we'll celebrate. Well, lately we haven't done the public because of COVID, but we celebrate privately at home too. So it really is something that we embody these principles in our lives. But if somebody wanted to get involved, you can do research to find out what things you would need in terms of the candle holder and the candles and different things like that. But it probably would be a good idea to find someone that celebrates and go to a celebration so you can see how it is done and how it is practiced, and ask questions of those people too to get an idea of how it's done, because a public celebration is a little different than the at-home celebration. Typically, if we do it in public, we still go through the rituals, and we may have like a entertainment aspect and things like that. You'll have someone who speaks on the principle of the day, so just to kind of bring it home. So you go through those at home. You still light the candles and you still recite the principles and you still reflect and you still do the libations. But it's not as an elaborate ceremony. It's more just private. So,
and I would just add to that, because I know a lot of people who want to do this and who want to have these ceremonies and things of that nature. The reason they want to do it is a lot of it is based upon Harambe. But Harambe can't come to every church. They can't be at every service. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of practice. And I think that, if you're going to bring it somewhere, you might have to, get your own dancers or your own things, such as that.
Y'all coming to my church, though. I mean, y'all coming to our church. So I don't care if you can't come to everybody's church. But that is, you're right.
Research and get the things that you need. They're not really hard to find. Locally, you may not find it, but online, you can definitely find it.
Right.
You can Google the principles to find out what they are, and things like that. If you Google Kwanzaa, it actually gives you the symbols too, because I'll just go through the symbols. So when you do your table, you have your kinara with your 7 candles. Okay. and then you have or your canary is your candle holder. Sorry. And you have your 7 candles. You have a mat. Like the candle holder represents the family tree. 7 candles represent the principles. Then you have your mat or your foundation. So that's like the foundation. You have fruit, which is your mazal. So that represents the harvest. You have ears of corn, which are your muhindi. That represents children. So normally you have the number of ears of corn on the table that you have children in the family. If you have no children, you always put it at least one ear in hopes of in the idea of all children are our children. And so, it takes a village. And so it's in the hopes of just bringing children and raising children and helping children. So you always put out at least one. You have your Kikombe Child Mojo or your Unity Cup. That's what you use to sprinkle the water during the libation ceremony. When you're home, you do it a little different. Well, now it might be way different. But typically, each member of the family would sip from the Unity Cup to show togetherness of the family. I'm trying to think what else. We do give gifts during Kwanzaa. They are called zawadi, but they are needed gifts. So you either buy from a black vendor, it's a handmade gift, or a needed gift. So if somebody needs some socks, that's their Kwanzaa gift. If you have a child and you want them to be, you might buy them some books because that's promoting education and growing their mind. So those are things that you would have on your table.
Okay.
And things that you would need to do your table.
Oh, thank you so much, Chris. We're going to let you go, but I got one more question before I let you go. Me and Pastor Todd are going to finish this up. But at the end of Kwanzaa, at the end of Kwanzaa ceremonies, at the end when we were over Aunt Cynthia's, and it was always our great Uncle Ron. He would do it 3 times. How many times we do it?
Time. You talking about Harambe?
Is that what you say? Is that what's Harambe?
Yes.
Harambe? Yeah, yes. Okay.
We always end with Harambe, and Harambe means let's all pull together. So you put your hand up in a clutching motion, and you pull down in a fist 7 times, and say Harambe when you pull down, and then on the 7th time you hold it as long as you can, and then give yourself applause. So that's how we end it.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Crystal. If anybody has questions you'd like to ask, we're going to let Crystal go, but type them in the comments. We'd be happy to connect you with Crystal Davis, who came to talk to us about, as a part of our Christ verse culture conversation, the celebration of Kwanzaa. And I think that that's something worth exploring and talking about with our families and community groups. And because Warren, we don't in our city, our hometown, we don't see Kwanzaa celebrations, and that would be a beautiful thing to do. I see Leah watching. I might have to task her with that and give her the Kwanzaa ministry. But everybody give it up for Crystal Davis for being with us. Thank you so much, my sister. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye. Man, that was great information.
It was.
That was great information. It made me think. It made me reconsider because, I'm not going to put a scripture on it, what people would do. But the fact of the matter is, you fear what you don't know.
Absolutely.
And all churches and religious groups become like a bit of a bubble to themselves, and anything outside of that bubble is fearful. And as I said to her a little bit, the idea of symbols, the idea of any type of what we would call ritual, I think that Christians of all stripes struggle with anything that involves any sort of ritual because they think, honestly, all rituals are spiritual, as in competing or alternatives to their spiritual ritual, where it can simply be routine. For instance, if you made a commitment to your family that we're going to have family dinner every Sunday after church, that is a family ritual or routine tradition. It is not necessarily a spiritual one, as in this is now my faith, or I'm adding this into my faith, and now this is a part beside Jesus. It's Stanford family dinner. You know what I mean? It's communion, baptism, and Stanford family dinner. And I think we struggle because words like symbols and rituals, and even, of course, libation definitely scares the heck out of everybody. Okay, we ain't pouring no water. I've watched. I watched someone do a libation at a funeral, and they had a little plant, and they just poured the water into. people was really like the blood of Jesus, the blood of Jesus, the blood of Jesus against you. Now, honestly, I think her explanation that this is not a spiritual thing as much as just a tradition, a cultural thing.
Right.
Now, does it matter if somebody is treating it like a spiritual thing? What if they are?
I mean, even if they are, I don't think it is. And I mean, you can treat a car like a motorcycle, but it's not. You know what I mean? You can treat anything like it.
Right.
But I mean, I think, you know, if we understood what they meant, maybe if we understood what these terminologies meant, you know, such as unity and such as collective economics, you know,
right.
These are things the Black community needs, regardless of what the name is.
Right.
These are things the Black community needs to come together and to be able to buy from one another and stop going outside. Not that there's anything wrong with going to the mall, but it's also not anything wrong with buying from the young brothers that's just trying to start up a business.
Absolutely.
And, you know, trying to get himself off the ground. So I think these are things that are needed. You know, when I was at Beulah and the first Kwanzaa, first year we done Kwanzaa, and they've been doing it for years. They've done the second day for years. It absolutely astonished me how the community just showed up for that. I mean, you know, church completely packed, overflowed, people everywhere coming out, and it just amazed me. You know, whether it was Reverend Simon, Reverend Macklin,
right.
He done, I think, the fourth day, and I even went over to Reverend Wilkins over on the east side for the fifth day. So I mean, these things are absolutely necessary, and it's a beautiful thing to come together and have our people do these things.
Absolutely. And I agree. And I think that there are quite a few things that we need to pick up on and kind of poke at in just a minute. But we're going to take a quick technical break. We're going to take a quick technical break. Hang tight for about 30 seconds. We're going to take a quick technical break. And we have a question that's coming up. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But we are, if you would hang tight for just a moment, we got to make sure our audio sources and our power sources are in correctly. So just chill out for a minute. Okay, are we good? All right. We wanted to make sure we were good. Y'all saw last time when you started talking too crazy and the devil got in the equipment. So we wanted to make sure we were straight. So Tatum Osborne asked the question, is there a difference between libation and lighting a candle and having a moment of silence? And that's the thing.
That's really good.
That's the thing. Churches do so many different things that we could say are not in the Bible. There's no Christmas Eve candlelight service in the Bible. Mm-hmm. Lent isn't in the Bible. A lot of churches do celebrate Lent and things like that. Ashes, moments of silence, lighting a candle in memory of loved ones. We do it every year at our church just to memorialize, so I think, again, and the point I was trying to make to her, and maybe this is where we take it, Christ first culture, in particular Black culture, about to go in deep, is, are we afraid to be too Black in the Black church?
Definitely.
We're afraid to be too Black in the Black church. And so as long as it's universal in general and something that other people, namely Caucasians, cannot feel threatened by and we not feel embarrassed by, we'll do every other tradition. Churches do all kind of stuff in the name of outreach, evangelism, community engagement, unity, that would technically not be found in the Bible. But again, you put some words that you have a hard time pronouncing because they're from another language in another time, umaja, ujama, or whatever it is, imani, and you start doing that, and people start tightening up.
Absolutely. I think there has to be an answer to the question of what does it mean for the Black church still in the hood? Where does the Black church still fit in? How do we still make a difference? And I think, you said it for years, that we are still the only infrastructure in the Black community that holds weight. And I think the weight that we hold needs to come from within, right, from without this community.
And we need to be Blacker.
We definitely need to be Blacker.
The Black church needs to be Blacker. And I made this comment. I know we have viewers of all races and stripes and all of those things, to be honest, and all of that. Thank you, Crystal. Crystal answered, we light the candles to represent the principles, and the moment of silence after libations just as a final reflection. It's two separate practices. Thank you, Crystal. I think the context of Tatum's question was, what's the difference between lighting a candle, like in any sense? Like I said, we do at our church anniversary and libation. So what I'm saying is we get afraid of that libation, but we're not afraid of lighting a candle at Christmas time or when it's time to memorialize somebody who died in the church or in the community. We don't mind having, we did it at our class reunion, you know, all the ones who died. We do it at our annual church anniversary, everybody who died from last year to this year. And so I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Pastor Tatum, that the feeling is if we can do some rituals and say that this is not anti-Christ or anti-Jesus and be okay with it, why can't you do another one? And why is it that if it is Black centered, if it is our heritage, if it has to do with where we've come from, that's what kind of makes us draw back.
And we're simply honoring, you know, my mother passed away. When we do libations, I call my mother's name out because I honor my mother, what she's done for me, what she's meant to me.
And let me poke at that, because that became an issue during the Black Lives Matter movement, because people started to, and it is in some people's philosophies. It doesn't mean it's everybody's philosophy. And that becomes the question of, if it means something to someone else, does it have to mean the same thing to you? Because even the phrase, say their name, say his name, say her name. There were people, and I think it's written somewhere, that saying their name keeps their spirit alive and blah, 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 and da-da-da-da. And so, of course, Christian saints, people who believe that, and we do, we don't believe in conjuring the dead. We do not believe in ghosts and spirits. And most Christians don't believe in that. And now folks just say all kind of stuff like, my mama was with me, I had a dream about her, I saw her in my room, whatever. But in traditional Christian theology, we don't believe in ghosts or bringing people back. It's believed to be sin, a part of witchcraft, whatever. What I'm saying is, simply saying their names as a part of libation or protest or whatever, then that becomes a rallying cry to say, look, Christians, don't get involved in that. Don't go to that protest because they're chanting something. I saw some of our peers, some of our pastor friends say that. Don't get involved in that because you are participating in a demonic chant.
Every day, Pastor Todd, every day on Facebook, I see happy heavenly birthday.
Every day I see Christians go to cemeteries and visit the graves. It's say stuff like, my mom's memory is alive in me and my children, and I remember what they said. So I think, here's the sad thing. We have a toxic sense of mysticism against ourselves. Right. And we don't think that way. And I'm not here to beat on this dead horse, but we all know that Christianity has all types of European rituals intermixed that we have come to accept and say, well, this is just the way we do it because it's been here for so long, even as we acknowledge that we know that some of the summer solstice and the winter solstice and the harvest festivals, doggone it, down to the days of the week. If you don't believe in paganism, find another day, find another name for the days of the week. How about that? If you don't believe in following anybody else's names or labels, then what does Sunday mean? Because it don't mean SON day.
It doesn't at all.
It doesn't. Sunday is about the Greek gods and the Roman traditions, the months of the calendar. So why are we so afraid? And we will preach it down. We will talk it down. We will tell folk don't get involved in all that, but we do it the most when it's us. You know who doesn't do that? Our white friends who worship the American flag next to the cross in their churches.
Well.
You know who doesn't do that? Our Greek Orthodox friends who don't mind being called the Greek Orthodox churches, the Roman Catholic Church,
that's right,
the Eastern Orthodox Church. You even have the Slovak and different, Slovenian churches, and they don't mind making their culture a part of their faith expression. They don't look at themselves and say, no, that's in Greece, that's in Slovenia, that's in Rome, that's not us, because that clashes. And I think that's a problem for us.
Because they don't mind clashing. They take pride in who they are, where they're from. We're
the only ones being told.
We literally
you're too much of your ethnicity.
We literally will only wear our dashikis or whatever on Black History Month.
I gotta get mine out, by the way. I gotta send my stuff to the cleaners. And you are too, by the way. But and then we do look strange. Black folk look strange at black folk for dressing black.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we all do it. And so and here's the crazy thing. We have been taught that you should not infiltrate your Christianity with your culture, but only as long as your culture is not the dominant European culture.
Right.
It is perfectly fine to infiltrate Christianity with American culture. It's perfectly fine to infiltrate Christianity with European culture. Mm-hmm. It is perfectly fine to sing anthems and melodies that predated the hymn that was written, and they threw some lyrics to some old classical music from Germany and from Italy, and 100 and 300 years later they put some Christian or God sounding lyrics on it, and it really was a pop song. It really was a popular song that they sang it. They'll tell you some of these hymns we sing were like bar songs that they changed the words to. Wow. And they'll tell us. And then, can I go a step further, Jeff?
Go ahead. You
my peers, my counterparts would tell me, well, that makes it hard for us to worship with you and come across the aisle, because I can't be in a place where I feel like a foreigner or a stranger, or you're going to talk to black. And my answer to that, Pastor Jeff, and I've told you this, and I've told a few of my white peers to their faces, y'all wasn't coming anyway.
That's it. Y'all wasn't coming anyway.
Because I've gone whole years not saying really anything radical. Don't let these last few years fool you, or, what I've become known for. I've gone years just preaching about Jesus and salvation and grace and blessings and all that stuff. And I think I did a pretty good, intelligent job of doing it. That if I was as good enough for these other individuals who don't live in our community or come to our churches, I would have had them by now. Absolutely. They wasn't coming. So the idea that we're too black are the things we talk about if we address justice issues, or we express our culture, or we have red, black, and green on our churches somewhere, that's what's holding people back.
Well, here's the thing, Pastor Todd. I don't even care.
There it is.
I don't even care. Listen, you keep your
keep what you do.
Keep your hash brown casserole.
Keep going.
Keep your hash brown casserole, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
I'm going to eat my ribs and black-eyed peas. That's it. Know what I mean? It's two different things. But don't be upset with me for being, or for stating, or for loving my blackness.
I've always said, honestly, that it doesn't even come from the outside. It even comes from the inside, because we will fight us. If I don't even have to take down our American flag, which I would never do. We do have an American flag in our church. That has been a tradition of our church. And I think it is not so much a worship of it, but just an acknowledgement that goes back. And maybe it shouldn't be there. Maybe we should challenge ourselves of, why do we have any type of country in the church whatsoever? But I bet you if I propose that I put a Pan-African flag next to it, even though it's off to the side in a corner, somebody would say, what's that all about?
Absolutely. Well, here's the question.
Why just get one for Black History Month and just never take it down?
Here's the question, because we got 10 minutes. Here's a question that most people are going to say, and many people will ask. Now, I want you to answer this, and answer this as honestly as you can. The question that many people will say is, it's not a black or white issue, it's a sin issue.
Well, what's not a black or white issue? I mean, what's a sin issue?
Prejudice, people not wanting to come over. It's not a black or white issue.
All right. If somebody rapes your daughter, I'm gonna tell them it's not a sexual assault issue, it's a sin issue.
There you go. You just broke it down at 4 foot would ever be broken.
Yeah, it's a sin issue with a specific focus and effect that needs to be addressed.
Absolutely.
If I rob your house, like, it's not a burglary issue, it's a sin issue. Pray for me. You wouldn't accept that. Right. You would demand remedy, regardless of the category. According to what it was, you would demand remedy and for the situation to be rectified based on what it is. You would not generalize it if it was anything else.
Right.
Nobody said the terrorist attacks were not a geopolitical issue or a war issue. They were a sin issue. Nobody said, let's pray for the people that did 9/11 and plotted and planned it.
Come on, sir.
And because it's a sin issue that we believe if we pray hard enough, the Holy Ghost will fall on them and they'll repent and come and say they're sorry. No, you hit back. You fight back. And that goes to, let's talk culture. We're the only culture taught not to be strong and determined and protective
That's right.
Of
That's right.
ourselves.
That's right.
We're told that if attacks come our way, and if oppression comes our way, and if persecution comes our way, pray for those that persecute you, love your enemies. Let a Muslim walk in this country with a gun and see who's turning the other cheek.
Man.
I met a Christian friend, evangelical, conservative, whatever you want to call it, and half most of us either, who didn't want to punch anybody in the face and bomb any country to smithereens that wasn't some impact on us. And so again, culture becomes a problem only as long as it's Black culture. You know, can we be, when we acknowledge our ancestors, you know, that I've wrestled with that because I don't want to get into what we talked about. I don't know what to call it, necromancy, or when you, that's the, you know, when you're pulling people back from the dead, and, you know, and all that kind of, and forgive me if I get the word wrong. I could have said something really crazy, but excuse me.
That's right. That's right.
But we're told we're not into that. We're told we're not supposed to focus on that. Don't focus on the ancestors. Don't let that Wakanda stuff get your attention. Don't let that stuff. But we steady putting up portraits of Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin and Martin Luther. Our white churches are named after white folk that are dead.
That's right.
Named after Martin Luther. And you come to tell me that I can't acknowledge Marcus Garvey?
Come on.
Thomas Jefferson ripped out half the Bible. I'm sorry, necromancy is having sex with the dead. You're correct. Necromancy is having sex with the dead. Necro something is remembering the dead or bringing them back. Necrology is remembering and knowing the dead, necrology. And I don't want to get it wrong. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Necromancy is when people do disgusting things with the dead. So welcome to Religiously Incorrect, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, for some reason, there are certain ancestors, as long as you don't call them ancestors, as long as you call them patriots, as long as you call them people who laid a foundation for a certain cultural bent, it's fine to keep their names alive. It's fine to have statues of them in churches. Okay, now we are really getting deep about what that. Okay, all right.
I didn't bring up sex this time, y'all.
It was me.
That's the time.
Okay, necromancy is communicating with the dead. Thank you very much. I was right the first time. Necromancy is speaking with the dead.
I thought so.
Okay, I was right, Mike. You was wrong. Love you, bro. And necrophilia, you're correct. Thank you, Sister Johnson. So anyway, so we have to be strong enough. And you know what? Sometimes I feel like we're too far gone to where we're really fighting ourselves. And we don't want to feel like we were wrong. And this might sound weird to some people, but I think that even some of our elders among us that have fully bought into churches, we know it, that is a Black church, but still in a white context, they feel offended that there's corrections they have to make after all these years. And it kind of pulls away at their esteem to have to say, I really did bow down too much.
Absolutely.
To that. And we do need to turn the corner. And I applaud anybody who will acknowledge that. But honestly, I think people don't want to acknowledge that because they would have to acknowledge some things about themselves and what they accepted for years.
Absolutely. I mean, all you have to do is look back at the whole taking a knee thing and how long it, how that didn't last hardly one season, because we have not yet took this thing to a whole level where we just consistently stay on the ball and keep these things in the forefront of our views. Absolutely. What's going on, and we have to begin to do that.
Tatum has a great comment that she made earlier. She says, I believe it's because we, the descendants of slaves over centuries, have been taught that our African cultural identity is deficient. Our African cultural and identity. I believe that's correct, and we won't admit that. And here's the funny thing. We take a certain pride and comfort and solace. Here's a crazy thing. We have in the Black church learned how to take solace in the Black church while at the same time being somewhat ashamed of the Black church. It's almost like having a boyfriend or a mate or a girlfriend that you're afraid to show in public.
Absolutely.
But you don't mind finding comfort and companionship with them, but you wouldn't want to walk around in their fullness publicly. Maybe because in their mind don't know how to act right, or it doesn't mesh with other people. And I believe that we are that way about the African American church. We love ourselves internally. Matter of fact, some black churches don't want to be streaming and doing things like that because it feels like, and maybe for rightful, it is too much hooping and hollering and all, but if I can sit there and listen to your lights and smoke and rock and roll, you can listen to my hoop on Facebook.
Absolutely.
If I can listen to your guitars and all that stuff, then I had a video of a little boy saying amen to me, watching one of my little kids that he couldn't come to church. Then you can listen to all that hooping and ain't God all right, because we cannot be ashamed of who we are.
And don't get it twisted. We do have some black pastors, Freddie Haynes and
Jamal Bryant, William Barber.
Yeah, William Barber.
And we have locally too.
Locally, absolutely.
But we only talk that, but let's just talk locally, and many pastors we know, we only talk that tough talk around us. Yeah, if I got a bunch of local ministers in the room, African-American ministers, and we could be Black Pride, have a doggone Black Panther rally together in the room, let 2 or 3 or 4 of our white ministers walk in and we'll back off.
Some of us
for the most part. Some of us will. I'm a fight.
Some of us will.
All my life I had to fight.
Give me you, myself, and what's the other one's name? His church.
Oh, don't bring Pastor Murray.
Give me Pastor Murray. Give me Pastor Murray.
I'm talking about Pastor Samson Murray.
Give me Samson Murray. Samson Murray.
He will say some things.
Y'all.
Really want to start. He will say some things. And I really believe that we have to check ourselves. It is a complicated history. And because we don't wrestle honestly with that complicated history, in this age of intellect and renewed pride and awareness of who we are and where we've come from, we are actually failing a generation.
Absolutely.
From being able to embrace what we feel is a unique, honestly, it's a Christianity that really is all our own.
Absolutely.
It really is a Christianity that is all our own, and we have to take it that way. And you know what? Let me just hit this before we hit some of the comments, because Crystal said some great things, and Leah just said some great things. I want to hit one point, though. Matter of fact, put up Joseph's point, because I want to ask this question. I want to answer this question. Joe asked, how do we as a Black community get on the same page? How do we as a Black community get on the same page? I believe that a key part of it will involve the church and our religious institutions. I believe it involves a new generation of mutual respect. And Leah had a comment about it, she'll put it up in a second, about how people have given these type of comments that actually offends.
Absolutely. I'm offended. I just read.
By saying things like, we should thank God for slavery because it brought us salvation and brought us out of being heathens. As if number one, Christianity did exist in Africa. We're not going to pretend like it existed all the way on the, the coast but it did exist. But number two, all cultures were of multiple religions and had different phrases and times and seasons of paganism, Christianity, and it is a Christian context. So we are going to thank God for Christianity being present among us. But when you say things like that way, and as she said, that person grew from that turns people off. But on the other side, if you do have people that are making effort, and perhaps people that came before us that were doing the work, trying to lift our people, stop disrespecting the Black church.
Absolutely.
For all that it offers and provides. And if beliefs are different, at least have mutual respect. And coming together involves both ways. We need to make more effort to acknowledge who we are and where we come from. But our Black friends, our woke friends, our conscious friends, those who may not ascribe to Christianity, should also have a mutual respect for the Black church and the unique place and role that it plays, and stop calling us some tool of oppression from the white man. Because here's my question,
or
Pastor
some
Jeff. Uncle Tom, Christianity. No. You tell me, what system is not a tool of the white man? Why is the church the tool of the white man and not the stock market? You can go in the stock market and decide, I'm going to go make my money, even if the white man runs it. Even if the white man runs the New York Stock Exchange, which he does. Even if he manipulates the Dow Jones, which he does. Even if he flips markets and causes inflation to happen and decides when to raise and lower interest rates, which he does. We decide that if we make it our own, if we share knowledge, we can empower each other to make money in this system. Then why can't I do the same thing, which, by the way, our elders and ancestors already have done? Take that thing that was once used to oppress us and that some did use to harm us, and say, we made this our own. You can't infiltrate this. This belongs to us. We own real estate. We have a meeting place.
Well, Pastor Todd, the truth of the matter is, we're only used by the white man until we need to do your funeral, until we need to do your funeral or your wedding. your baby shower, and then we be your peoples. Then we your peoples.
You're absolutely
we
right.
Peoples
Yeah,
then.
and you owe it to us.
Right. And then as far as what Leah said, this is the same person who probably will preach and share that God is omnipresent. He's everywhere at the same time.
Right.
You know, but he wasn't over there in Africa. He wasn't in Africa. He couldn't have been in Africa.
And that's what Dante said. Thank you, Principal Capers. Leave it up to an educated man to know what he's talking about. It all starts with acknowledgement that what we see as authentic Christianity is actually Christianity with the Euro-American slant. Exactly. We think that if it is not European, if it don't come out of the Methodist hymn book, if it is not based in Charles Wesley and Martin Luther and John Wesley and all those, which they made wonderful contributions, but so did the African church fathers who actually gave us the doctrine that they studied. And it goes back to every area of life: math, science, health, and yes, religion, including the Christian religion. You can't touch it without African influence. So here's my thing, Pastor Jeff. So the church should not be ashamed of what they are the originators of.
Come on, sir.
We need to peel back and say, if it started with us, or at least we were always a part of it in some frame or some way, we went through seasons where, because of military domination and the advent of slavery, an upper hand was gained and control was taken over something that at least a part of us or some of our ancestors were already a part of, and that now we're the ones diminishing and calling ourselves deficient because we're living in a land that you know, in a land that's not really ours, and living according to traditions that don't belong to us. But we think that white tradition, that European tradition, that American tradition is more legitimate than our own traditions. That we can't know Jesus from a black perspective. We've already proved we can, but something in the back of our mind, that really sticks with me. Solace and shame in the same church. Wow. Solace and shame. I come to the church to find refuge, but I reject it publicly because I'm embarrassed by it. You don't want a dignified funeral, like you said when you do these funerals. You want I won't complain. You want his eyes on the sparrow. You want tears and but you don't want anybody to see it. And so I would say that there are pastors, and that we're trying to be that for a generation. Now, here's what I won't ask you to do. I'm not going to ask you simply for blackness' sake to reject what you believe or don't believe, because that would not be authentic Christianity.
That's right.
And I've had people who have come to the church or joined the church, been a part of the church, and they have respect for the church ministry, but maybe they're not able to square with the core doctrine. And that's okay. You don't have to get in water you don't believe in. You don't have to take communion you don't believe in. As a black man, we can still respect each other and work with each other. But it would be wrong of us, honestly, to expect, and people did it for generations, they just became or acted Christian because it was the thing to do. Yeah. And we as pastors have to be honest enough to say, if it's not your true conviction, then we do believe you can engage, you can come, we can work together, we can partner, we can collaborate, but you don't have to pretend Jesus is your Lord and Savior if he's not, because we got enough things doing that already.
Come on, sir.
We got enough members doing that already.
Well, I knew this episode would bring the Martin Luther Todd back out.
Don't show this to my constituents.
But I absolutely love
my political page. No, but they're all valid points.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's something that we need to talk about, and we need to keep it at the forefront.
Yeah.
Especially of our black churches.
And I want to hit two things, man. I want to hit something. First of all, let's look at Joseph Napier. He said that's true. And there is a story behind this. Joseph Napier said that's true. When you look at the Baptist denomination, when the black upper class left and started their own, that did happen. And actually, many people don't know the Progressive Baptist Church, the Progressive Baptist Church, which is not his individual church, but it is a denomination. Martin Luther King, Fred Shuttlesworth, Ralph Abernathy, and some other allies tried to start a Baptist platform of pro-civil rights, pro-justice in the 60s, and they got shot down. Almost literally a fight in the National Baptist Convention. And that's where the Progressive Baptist Convention came from. It was birthed in like 61 or something like that. There was literally a fight and the guy fell off a stage and died, like in one of those big church fight meetings over this. And they tried to kind of take over with a more justice, social issues focused platform and saying, if we're going to be a Black Baptist denomination, we should be at the forefront of the movement.
Absolutely.
And they said, no, we should be Jesus, focused and not get entangled in that. And that tension always existed. But Michael Irvin Walker said that there was docile, and very weak. And I'm honest, I'm gonna disagree with you, bro. We come from strength. We come from people.
What was the comment?
You can go down. It's down. Well, you guys are speaking of rising up. Go up. You guys are speaking of rising up. It's the long one. Now, and I will say that I agree with you to a point, Mike, but on another point, I will not call our elders and our ancestors docile. I will not call the people who built the bricks of our churches and put their pennies down and often stood against oppression. Everybody didn't, but a lot of people did a lot of things that you will never know about.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people did some things that we do know about and we ignore. Mm-hmm. You don't build whole communities. As much as we talk about all these Black churches and why we got so many, you don't build all these churches out of nothing.
Just the couple months ago when you had the seniors from Warren and what they talk about, what they spoke about, and how, I never knew down there on Pine Street and all those things that these Black men went through and had to go through, and coming from the South. These were powerful men. These were men who had something to
absolutely. I mean, people don't know, and I brag on Second all the time. At one point, Second had its own small, what do you call it?
Bank, right?
Bank. It's on credit union. You kind of credit, community credit union. We have one of the oldest.
They was loan sharks, y'all.
Loan sharks. We have one of the oldest, longest running continuous daycares, a business run out of our church.
Absolutely.
The oldest Girl Scouts troop in the area run out of our church. We have Black ministers who are still alive and some who are gone, who protested the police to their face, who got arrested. Lonnie Simon got arrested, before. Who got arrested, who protested the newspapers to their face for the way they reported on Black folk. My notes in my church and many other churches' notes talk about how we will fight against police dogs. We will elect our own officials. We bought up property. The reason we own so much property, Second and many other churches do, it because they put their money together and bought it and built it and gave our place. So when I hear people say, and I'm not disagreeing to fight you, Brother Mike, but when I'm hearing people say that these folk prayed all and didn't get nothing from it, I would say go back and check the record. Now, just like some of our homes and communities, sometimes we didn't keep or maintain or bad behavior or misaligned, values, lost a lot of that. But you can say the same about your grandma's house that you owned and she had paid off and your family lost it. And maybe it's not that it never happened. Maybe we didn't keep it and do or systems and the same oppression. Don't think for 1 second, and to my man Mike and other people who might feel this way, and I'm not just addressing you, don't think for 1 second that some of these oppressive forces didn't see Black folk doing too much and start infiltrating and undermining them.
Absolutely.
So you think all these crooked Black preachers and all these failures and all this money that come up missing and all that stuff is just because Black folk don't know how to act and Christianity is a failure? No, I think that even some of those same white systems, they were tapping Dr. King. Absolutely. I've been followed and called. And I had to know about it. I'm in Warren. And I've had people come, watch out, this public official is watching you, this person. So I think that sometimes there is a lack of understanding that I know, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, there are some conscious brothers, some woke brothers that have not gotten the threats I have gotten being a Christian pastor. Because honestly, some of them are not talking to the crowd I'm talking to that can actually do something, got some money in their pocket and got a vote in their pocket.
It's where a lot of redlining has taken place. Gentrification has taken place. It has taken place right here in the city of Warren. It has taken place in Youngstown, where we've built up a city or a place of influence, of knowledge, of wealth, and
the same oppressive systems
came in,
pushed against them.
Yep.
Why do you think building codes are what they are? Handy, you can't y'all joke about the church raised all this money and never built a bathroom and did all that. If you know what it's like to go to the code enforcement in the building to try to build, you'd be surprised. It is not just because we don't do nothing with the money. When they put so many regulations, and a lot of that stuff is built for Black and poor people to not be able to attain and achieve what they need to do. Where back in the day before that, you could get bricks, get free labor, do this. You got to have licenses. And I know it's for protection, they'll say, but don't think for 1 minute that some of these things that exist in nonprofit grant structure, the way our communities are treated, and yes, in the church, aren't designed to hold us back from what we are capable of doing. And so I think we have to be stronger as a culture, but we also have to educate each other.
Absolutely.
We have to educate each other and have a mutual respect for each other, so that if you don't pray to Jesus like I do, you're not running around spewing all the preachers are fake and phony. All y'all do is sleep with the women and take all the money and da-da-da-da-da. We know there are some, and can I say one more thing? The image of the slick preacher, the image of the ineffective church was not painted by Black people. It was painted by white people. If you want to be real about it. They're the ones, and I don't mean all white folk, but you know what I mean? Those individuals who have always hated African and Black culture and the power of Black people, they are the ones that will they're the one. Black people didn't send recordings of Dr. King misbehaving.
That's right.
To Coretta.
That's right.
Black people didn't try to infiltrate the Nation of Islam. You know, they used Black people, but the force was from the system. So don't think for 1 minute that force is not still in effect.
And let me say this as we close, in spite of all that, we are still here.
We're still here.
We're still on, and y'all can talk about it as much as you want to. On every corner, we still here.
I'm Black and I'm proud.
We still coming.
Churches
Still
and
every Sunday in corner stores.
Churches and corner stores.
some churches are in corner stores.
We're the corner
but
store.
we here.
Baptist
we
Church.
here, and we still making a difference.
And I believe that we can build upon our heritage and make more of our youth and even our adults aware of how we can broaden and expand our expression of faith within our own context. And that doesn't mean we're just being separatists and being mean. But again, my job is to minister to the people in front of me.
Absolutely.
And there aren't a huge amount of people coming over the tracks that I feel like I need to watch my tongue or do this or do that. And so if I know that that helping my young brothers and sisters, that might be Black and white, because sometimes it's not even a color issue, it's a poverty issue. And I keep the doors open so that we can work against these systems of oppression as we work against spiritual oppression, then I believe that we're doing our job and our mission. And culture is a part of it.
Absolutely.
Culture is a part of it. And thank you, Mike, for your comment. I really do. I really appreciate your comment. And you're right. Inaction, I believe inaction is demonic. When something is wrong right in front of you, the Bible says to know what's right to do and not do it is a sin.
Absolutely.
So whenever somebody says we just need to pray about it, I don't mind praying. But if there's an issue that's affecting our people and we can fix it.
That's why Martin Luther King family is upset right now.
That's it.
He
said, don't have another celebration.
Don't have another celebration.
Don't just lock arms and sing we shall overcome. Go out and do something. Go out and do something. So culture is never going to go away. And I would encourage all of you, and this goes for every ethnicity, every background. I don't think we need to try to be colorblind or try to force people to deny who they are. I think we should have a greater mutual respect for who we are and learn how to operate around other people. So I'm not going to run in being assalamu alaikum or screaming in white people's face, but I'm going to be myself. And if they have their own traditions, and which we all know that exist as a default tradition for everybody, we're going to work through that together, but I'm not going to be ashamed of who I am.
Absolutely.
And that's just the end of the story. Crystal, thank you so much.
Hey, man, thank y'all, everybody. All the comments, great feedback.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Happy Kwanzaa to everybody else. To everybody. We're going to do a Kwanzaa candle up here next time. We're going to have a Big L lighted.
We're doing libations.
Tupac. We'll be in just, you know, here's what I'll finish off with. I know that we don't believe in Christians typically don't believe in, you know, certain ancestry things as much as those that might be. But I'd rather be in the ancestral plane than the sunken place.
Woo, now that's a sermon, Doc. Doc, you can preach that.
I'd rather be in
6 days a week and twice on Sunday
than in the sunken place.
Brother.
I'd rather acknowledge who my people are than be blind to what my people have gone through and are going through.
Come on, sir.
Even if it creates conflict for me, even in my preaching and my teaching and my interactions, I'd rather be conflicted with the knowledge I have and find ways to fight while still being, you know, engaged with brothers and sisters that are not of my color and my culture. I'd rather have some fight in me that creates conflict than to just lay down and do nothing.
That was powerful. We're gonna end on that.
We gonna end
that was
on that.
powerful, Doc.
Hey, y'all follow us, subscribe to us on YouTube, Religiously Incorrect Podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all other platforms, and listen to us on all of our audio and wherever you listen to Religiously Incorrect, wherever you listen to podcasts. Share us. Let us know what you want us to talk about. Let us know subjects you want us to talk about, and we would love to tackle them.
And we love for you to be a sponsor. You want to be a sponsor?
If you want to be a sponsor, we are seeking more sponsors. We have millions of viewers all over the galaxy. In the ancestral plane, they watch us. They watch us in Wakanda.
You see, Todd needs some food, y'all.
I need to eat, y'all. I got my baby Steelers.
We ain't got no
on.
money.
I got my baby Steelers shirt on. Hey, we want to thank our last sponsor from the Phillips family of businesses, the Phillips Care Training. They are the new owners of High Street Fitness. They're not the new owners anymore. They're the old owners, and they're a great example of Black economics at work and Black health and wellness.
Yes,
they will work you to death. Call my man Mike Phillips. Look up Phillips Care Training on Facebook. If you need to get your body right for the new year, don't call Planet Fitness first. That's right. Come for me, Planet Fitness. I got you. Y'all dress in purple anyway. You don't scare nobody.
Oh, Barney looking
Fitness Center. Right. All right. Listen, check out Mike Phillips, Phillips Care Training LLC, High Street Fitness in Cortland. They'll get you right. They'll get you fit for the new year. Hey, we love all you. Take care. We got one more thing, Mike. What we got? Nikila, we're going to inbox you about being a sponsor. We're ready for more sponsors. You see that? Praise the Lord. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'm going to pass the plate. I'm going to send you a digital offering plate in your inbox. Hey, y'all. Take care. See you next week.
Deuces.
Go Steelers.